Horses died on the road to the Houston Rodeo this year, before the crowds arrived, before the concert started, before the stadium lights came on. Some horses never made it to Houston at all. They died along the trail. One horse reportedly died after being left inside a hot trailer. Another died from colic. And now, the trail riding group connected to those incidences, the Northeastern Trail Riders, has been suspended from participating in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. But then something happened that made this story even more complicated. The leader of that same group spoke publicly, and he said something that changed the entire conversation for me. He said horses died on other trail ride groups too, not just his group, others. And when you hear that, it forces a difficult question. Why are horses dying at all in an event built around celebrating them? Because the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is one of the most famous rodeos in the world. It's supposed to celebrate horses, celebrate horsemanship, celebrate Western culture, celebrate the relationship between humans and the animals that help build the American West. But when horses begin dying on the road to that celebration, something doesn't feel right. And people start asking questions. Every year, before the Houston Rodeo officially begins, something remarkable happens across Texas. Trail riders begin their journey toward the city. They ride for miles, sometimes for days. Groups gather on horseback and travel slowly across rural roads, farmland, and open countryside. At night, they stop and camp. Campfires glow under the stars, coffee boils in metal pots. Stories are shared. Music drifts through the dark, and nearby, the horses stand quietly tied or resting, waiting for the next morning. For many riders, this journey is the most important part of the entire rodeo tradition. It's not just about arriving, it's about the ride itself. Families participate year after year. Children grow up watching their parents saddle horses before sunrise. Older riders remember making the journey decades ago. For them, the ride into Houston isn't entertainment, it's history, it's identity, it's something that connects generations. And the horses are at the heart of it all. Without the horses, there is no trail ride. Without the horses, there is no living tradition. Which is why stories like this hit so hard. Because during this year's ride, 2 horses from the Northeastern Trail Rides reportedly died. One horse reportedly died after being left inside a hot trailer. Anyone who spends time around horses understands how dangerous that situation can be. Trailers heat up quickly, even on days that feel mild to humans. Inside a metal trailer sitting in the sun, temperatures can rise fast. Air circulation drops, heat builds, and horses, large animals that generate significant body heat, can become dangerously overheated in a short period of time. When a horse overheats severely, it can lead to heat stroke. Internal temperatures climb, organs begin to shut down, and sometimes even emergency veterinary care cannot save them. The second horse reportedly died from colic. Colic is one of the most feared conditions in the horse world. It refers to abdominal pain. But in horses, digestive systems are delicate. Changes in routine can trigger serious problems. Travel, stress, dehydration, changes in feed, long hours standing, any of these can increase the risk of colic. Sometimes a horse recovers with treatment, sometimes they don't. And every horse owner knows the helpless feeling of standing beside a horse in pain, waiting for a veterinarian, hoping it doesn't become one of the cases that ends in tragedy. When the suspension of the Northeastern Trail Riders was announced, the story might have stayed focused on those 2 incidences. But then the leader of the group made a statement that shifted the conversation. He said horses and other trail ride groups died as well. What is this, an endemic? Not just his, other groups too. If that claim is accurate, then this story becomes bigger than one group. Because if multiple groups experienced horse deaths during the same event, it raises a larger question about the demands placed on horses during events like this. Long-distance trail rides may look peaceful from the outside, dust rising behind horses at sunset. lines of riders moving slowly across the countryside, campfires glowing at night. But behind that image is physical effort. Horses may travel miles every day. They carry riders for long hours. They stand tied for extended periods at campsites. They experience unfamiliar environments. They encounter noise, crowds, and vehicles. Most horses handle these challenges well. They are powerful animals with remarkable endurance, but they are also sensitive creatures. Their digestive systems are fragile. Their hydration needs are constant. Stress affects them more than people sometimes realize. And when hundreds of horses converge on one large event, even rare risks can become more visible. There is also a reality that is easy to overlook during conversations about tradition. Horses do not choose to participate. They don't decide to travel long distances. They don't decide to stand in trailers. They don't decide to walk mile after mile in the heat. They trust the humans who guide them. They trust the riders who sit on their back. They trust the people responsible for their care, which means every decision made during events like this carries enormous responsibility. Every moment of supervision matters. Every management choice matters. Every judgment call matters, because the horses depend on humans to get those decisions right. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo ultimately suspended the Northeastern Trail Riders. Organizers emphasized that safety is their top priority. Safety for riders, safety for spectators, safety for volunteers, and safety for the horse themselves. Given the scale of the Houston Rodeo, safety is a serious concern. Millions of people attend the event every year. Hundreds of horses participate in different activities and events. The logistics are enormous. From the organizer's perspective, strict rules and enforcement are necessary to prevent accidents. But when horses die, even when causes differ, the conversation rarely stops at enforcement. It becomes about trust. Across the equestrian world, conversations about horse welfare are becoming louder. In racing, in show jumping, in dressage, and in rodeo, public awareness has changed dramatically. Social media spreads stories instantly, videos circulate quickly, and people who may never have owned a horse are still paying attention to how horses are treated in public events. When horses die, people want answers. They want transparency. They want to know what happened and whether anything could have prevented it. Events like the Houston Rodeo carry enormous cultural importance. They celebrate agriculture, horsemanship, and Western heritage. For many communities, they represent history and identity. But traditions survive best when they evolve. Modern audiences expect stronger protection for animals. That doesn't mean traditions must disappear, but it does mean expectations change. Better veterinary oversight, clear safety protocols, transparency when incidences occur, because protecting horses ultimately protects the tradition itself. In news stories, horses often become numbers, one horse, two horses, maybe more. But each one was an individual animal. Each one had a rider. Each one had a stall. Each one had someone who brushed their coat and filled their feed bucket. Somewhere, someone cared about that horse. Somewhere, someone is grieving the loss of that animal right now. And that is the part of the story like this that rarely makes headlines. Because behind every horse death is a real loss felt by real people. The suspension of the Northeastern Trail Riders may eventually be reviewed. Policies may change. New safety measures could be introduced. Or the story may slowly fade as others' news replaces it. But the questions raised by these incidents will likely remain, because every equestrian tradition ultimately depends on the welfare of the horses involved. Without healthy horses, the tradition cannot continue. 2 horses reportedly died during this year's trail ride season, one from heat and one from colic, and claims that horses in other groups died as well. Those facts alone make this moment worth reflecting on, not just for the Houston Rodeo, but for every event that relies on horses, because horses give humans extraordinary trust. They carry us across long distances. They work beside us. They become partners in traditions that stretch across generations. The least we can do in return is make sure those traditions protect them. And maybe that is the real question at the center of the story. not just who should be suspended, but how events like this can ensure that the horses at the heart of the tradition make it safely home.